And so, man plans and then God acts. God laughs, apparently. So I had a plan for my talk, and I wanted to hone in on thought and consciousness and how we can't change our minds by ourselves. Because we live in a culture that has been anchored in the myth of rugged individuality. And when the New Thought movement sprung up, that was part of it. It was a mind cure movement. And so a lot of medicine was quackery. Some doctors saved you and some doctors would kill you. So those in the know spiritually, people who were channels and received intuitive hits, realized that society had to be reminded that God within them had power. As Jesus said, you will do greater than I've done. So that was going to be the focus of my talk. And as I was meditating last night, I asked Spirit, and I said, what would you like me to say to this community? A community which I feel deeply connected to. This is my family or home church. And as I was online and got my notice from Unity, the e-blast. I got my e-blast, and I always check it out. I found out that Jennifer had resigned. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry, Esther.
We didn't check your e-blast.
No.
I didn't get it. Yeah, I just had it.
Oh, my beloved, yes. And so, my human mind thinking, my ego, said, what am I going to tell a community that I know has to be hurting or confused? And also a community of truth students that are working these principles. I've been to many communities. I've been blessed to go to Agape in California. I've been blessed for many years, since I began my so-called search as in my early 20s, to have visited many New Thought communities. And I have to say that this community is a place where people work the principles of truth, where people work at embodying these spiritual qualities that we say are God. So as I sat in meditation, and I was falling asleep, because a lot of times my meditations end with me sleeping and nodding off, I'm always amazed and stunned by the power of God. Because just when I think I'm doing it wrong, Spirit has shown me that the fact that I have sat on my mat, metaphorically, is me opening up to divine guidance, no matter what it looks like in human mind thinking. I'm falling asleep, I'm just distracted about what I'm going to eat, so on and so forth. And I heard, God is fullness of joy. I was raised Catholic. I didn't really grow up knowing scripture in that way that I can just speak verses out. And so I heard Spirit say, God is fullness of joy. So I love to walk around when I give my talks, and yet Spirit's like, stand in place and convey what I would like them to know. So God is fullness of joy, desiring God first and foremost. So in parentheses, I received desiring God first and foremost. So Psalm 16, verse 11, this was David's prayer. It says, Thou makest to me to know the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. In thy right hand, blessings evermore. I'll just read it again. Thou makest me to know the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. In thy right hand, blessings evermore. And in the New Word Translation in modern English, it says, "You will show me the path that leads to life. Your presence fills me with joy and brings me more pleasure than anything else." So you will show me the path that leads to life. Your presence fills me with joy, and you will bring me to pleasure forevermore. So what does that mean? So I have a few definitions, and I decided this is very handy. The New Thought Dictionary is a wonderful book when you're looking to define things metaphysically, as we do as New Thought students. So, make me know the path of life. The New Thought Dictionary says that path, the journey of life that leads through experience to union with the source of being. The journey of life that leads through experience to the union with the source of being. So we are on a path of experiences. And these experiences, the good, the bad, the so-called bad, according to thy belief it shall be done. Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So of course we all know, as truth students, the thing that we thought was the worst thing that could ever happen to us can lead to new life. So through this path, we are then unified with the source of being, and the source of being is God. And when we unify with this source of being, we have fullness of joy. We have a joy that is everlasting. We have a joy that is not temporal. Life. So we are on this path of life that leads us to the fullness of joy, which is God. So in the New Thought Dictionary, life is defined as God. Spirit is the very essence, the very livingness of everything. The animating principle in everything that makes everything what it is. So God, as life, is the animating principle that makes everything what it is. So, just to remind ourselves again, thou makest me to know the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. In thy right hand is blessings, are blessings forevermore. So God, what is the definition of God in the New Thought Dictionary? God is deity, the supreme being, the absolute, the eternal, the infinite spirit. Resting on that truth, we are in the absolute givingness and goodness of God. So, fullness. So I went to some biblical sources and New Thought sources. Fullness occurs several times in the Old Testament. So fullness of joy, I think it's about 3 times, but it occurs 17 times in the New Testament. And the fullness of the Godhead is the totality of divine powers, all of the attributes of God, eternal, infinite, unchanging, wisdom, power, wholeness, goodness, and truth. Fullness is synonymous with fulfillment. God is fullness of joy. So in God, we find the fulfillment of joy. So God is fulfilling joy. So as truth students, our challenge, and especially the challenge of this community, is whether or not this community can choose to embody the joy of God. after such a loss, and we have no idea, it could be that Jennifer is off to Hawaii and Beijing and magnificent things. It could be that she has decided to enact radical self-care. We will never really know, we're not inside of her. But we know and love her. We know that she has offered this community stellar leadership. That when we thought we were breaking apart and falling apart, and that we would disband and this community would not continue, she decided to say yes. Yes to Spirit's calling of leadership, to move us forward. And a leadership that was very transparent. Every leader is necessary for a period. I adore Carol and Colette. I adore the way they led. I needed to not think about stuff because they were doing it for me. I was a child spiritually. We had just been born as a community. We needed a really good mother and a fabulous aunt to babysit us. Seriously. They had to, they knew where the formula was. They knew where the extra diapers were. And when the babysitter couldn't make it, they were there. Because they had birthed that baby. And Jennifer was the fabulous older sister. She was our peer, and she had a courageous passion. And so she was an example. She's been an example for us on how to lead with, I'm not gonna do everything. You're old enough now to take some responsibility. You can brush your teeth and you can tie your shoelaces. You know how to make your lunch. You've seen me do it 1,000 times. You can make the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches now. And I shouldn't have to tell you to do your homework. And that is the phenomenal leader that she was. And our elder brothers and sisters are also our teachers. So there's a way that she taught us intellectually to look at global faiths. I love her foundation and her studies in religious studies. So she would bring all these universal truths to us. And we embody that, many of us. But it was wonderful to have that reflection. She showed it. I love beauty. Her beautiful body temple. Wasn't it nice to look at Jennifer?
Yeah.
And wish your thighs, if you're a girl, wish your thighs were that size. But the rigor of her health practices. I'd watch her after service not eat everything like I was eating everything. And go, she's so disciplined. And just how masterful she was. Beautiful to look at, an embodiment of bliss, discipline, self-discipline that becomes blisscipline. So now, our elder sister, our big sister, who was our teacher and a mentor and a stellar example, has gone on, has graduated to something bigger and better. And how now we are left young adults. And we must decide. Do we fall into fear and despair? You are a mastermind team, whether you think so consciously or not. Where two or more are gathered, God is. You have made a soul contract, we all have, to be here in this present time together. A negative consciousness in the mastermind affects the whole of the mastermind, because we are one with the one mind, and you declare it. These principles, amazing. But the bat from the universe, when you go in the opposite, because whatever you declare, you're saying to the universe, I'm choosing it. So when you go into unconsciousness, boom, 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 huge baseball bat from the sky. Manifestation of the negative is instantaneous. When you're saying, I'm a truth student, I believe in this stuff, I'm really into positive thinking, I believe I create my reality. The universe is going to say, okay, I'm bringing it on. Do you really want the reality that you are putting out there? And so many times on our spiritual journey, we'll see someone else and we'll go, well, they don't have these experiences, and why does it look so easy? They're not declaring day in and day out that they create their reality. Teacher, heal thyself. Teachers, teach thyself. So know that as a mastermind group, you must choose today who you will serve. God or mammon, spirit or the ego, faith or fear, joy or sorrow. In God is fullness of joy. The choice is constant. And as a collective, this is the pop quiz, as Reverend Carlos says often, or it could be a big exam. We don't really know. But whether it's an exam or a quiz, we must study. We must practice so that we can ace the pop quiz, we can ace the exam. We don't need to know which it is. We must be in preparation. So as I continue the talk, what are we choosing? Fear or faith? God or the ego? God or the ego? God is fullness of joy. And so, one of the synonyms of God, of joy, is happiness. You can never lose happiness, and yet we can of our own accord block inner happiness with negative thinking, limited beliefs, and fear, false evidence appearing real. You can't lose happiness because it is you, because God is happiness, and we are the essence of God. The drop of seawater is part of the ocean. It might be minuscule, and yet it is still ocean water. That is the same with us. We are God in our essence. So in that essence, God is joy, God is happiness, so we can never lose it. But when we seek for it, seeking shopping, I've been guilty, my shopping stuff, or seeking through a class, or we're seeking, we're actually resisting what is. The spiritual truth is that joy and happiness resides within our consciousness. And how do we get to this joy and happiness? Because we are constantly tested. Because we have willingly said yes to this life school. We have said that we want to start as kindergarteners and graduate with a PhD. We volunteered. We volunteered because we were in so much bliss in heaven or in the astral plane that we were like, wow, let's see how it would feel to not be in bliss. That might be really cool. I know from this perspective it sounds really crazy. But we were like, we're so much in bliss. Let's see let's see if we can play the hide and seek game and find it. So we have come here to play that game with ourselves, to find it. And as every great teacher and every great text has told us, it's within. So even though this appearance of discord is happening on the screen of this community, we are being asked to graduate to a higher consciousness. And I can honestly say, as a student of truth for so many years, I loved talking about these principles. And because I work for myself and I hold my clients hostage every day for hours, I can talk about this till they're blue in the face, and I'm blue in the face. but was I living them? I spent so many years, I mean, my God, the New Age, New Thought books, the 20 million thousand that I could have written, spewing off these principles and these ideas, and yet not living them, not embodying them, not really knowing that God is fullness of joy, that God is my fulfillment, that God is my happiness. And so many times the ego, we have a long tradition of what the ego has created. And so the ego says, I have to meditate for hours. I have to go, in many traditions, I have to go without. I can't have my clothes, I can't have my wine, I can't have my little make out with somebody. Sometimes there's some traditions that say that. I can't dance. I can't wear makeup. What else is it? I can't eat pork. I can't eat sweets. There's so many. And yet those are the gyrations and the, gymnastics of the ego that makes us think that spiritual awakening to who we already are is complicated, is difficult. We'll never get there. Untrue, untrue, untrue. How do we get to God as fullness of joy, God as happiness, God as fulfillment? 1 minute meditations. Begin with a minute. You'll see it's not enough time. You'll feel as though you've kind of been on vacation in Hawaii. It's so relaxing. 1 minute won't be enough. But begin with a minute, and then 5, and then possibly 10. Begin with a drop. So if there's a crack or a hole in the ceiling and there's a drop, there's a small puddle, and then before you know it, if you don't do repairs, you need a bucket. And then it's a third of a bucket, and then it's half of a bucket, and then it's full, and then you're dumping out that water. And then it's an overflow. Begin with a drop. Begin with 5 minutes. Begin to practice your blissciplines. That will get you to fullness of joy. Because we cannot just intellectually speak these principles. We talk them. We repeat them. We sing songs. We dance. Free in the spirit, use me. Oh God. We do all that. We can jump we put flowers on it, we decorate it, we do all sorts of things. I did that for years. Stop searching for a teacher. Commune with others of like mind. God is your teacher. You have a teacher within. Stop buying all the books. Oh my God, my books. My books, I can fill a mansion with the books. Seeking the answer. Turn within. Rewire your neural pathways. That loop of fear, of discouragement, trauma from childhood, whatever it is, will be dissolved in an instant by the infinite mind of God if you tune in the same way we have to charge our phones. It's basic, my sisters and brothers. We have to charge our gadgets. They need to get juiced up. We need the same thing. You cannot go on and on in this life without going into the silence. Stop seeking so much from your friends. They're there for a reason. They're your companions. They love you. You can attract like-minded friends in an instant. Set the intention. Friends go away. I am now attracted to a group of loving people who adore me and who are God-centered. Boom. You'll attract some more. But the answer is not in your friends. Get their opinions, hear them out, and then go within. 5 minutes and your life will be guided. Begin to change the negative patterns that have been ingrained within you. 2, this idea that we can change our thoughts, everything. We can change our thoughts, you can change your life, change your thoughts, change your thoughts, change your life. Yes, we can, but we can't do it alone. There are some patterns that are so deeply ingrained. Many times people come to our churches, our communities, they love this message, but they go, I've been thinking like a crazy person. How in the heck am I gonna change that? And they walk right out. Because somewhere we forget to tell them that if they align with the power and presence that has birthed universes, they will change their thinking. Align with Spirit, God. Infinite One. I'm having a bout of negative thinking. I feel depressed. I have poverty consciousness. Every time a bill comes in, I don't know how I'm going to make it. Or this relationship is falling apart. My health is horrible. I'm so afraid. Transmute and transform this thinking. I can't do it without you. You are the one mind. You are the power. We didn't make the sun come up this morning. We are part of it, but we didn't. Ask for help. This is a free-willed universe. Align with God, and you will change your thinking. Stop thinking it's all about you. The world will tell you, you can do it, rugged individualism, it's all about you. No, you need God, and you need like-minded people and community. And third, be grateful. We live in a society that is constantly showing us through all these tubes and screens how you need more stuff. You need a better body, a better house, a better partner that looks better and acts nicer. That's perfect. Perfect. It is a form of deep materialism. You are your body, you're your gender, you're your race, you're the hair on your head. It's egoic materialism. You are spirit. Be grateful for what you have. You are alive in this school. It's super interesting if you decide to see it that way. Gratitude. Gratitude for the changes. Gratitude for the hurt. Gratitude for the so-called appearance of struggle. Gratitude for the losses. Gratitude will open up the way for God's miracles to happen. Grateful for the clean water. There are people who go without. Grateful for a society where we can argue about the president, whether we like him or not. Some places you do that, you're gone. You disappear. Grateful for all the fruits and blessing of God. God as fullness of joy, God as happiness. So as we sit in the stillness for a minute, for 5 minutes, don't judge the time, begin. As we realize that we cannot change our thinking on our own, if you're really struggling, ask for help. Of ourselves we do nothing. 3, be grateful. This is an enormous change for this community. And yet, with ashes come beauty. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Jennifer has guided us. She has loved us. She's kicked our butts with those great legs. You can do that. And now it's time for us to rise. Do not despair. We are here to be reminded that God is our fulfillment. God is everything that we seek. And so, I will end with a beautiful treatment. If you haven't gotten this book, Your Needs Met. It's 150 spiritual mind treatments. And you can open it to most of the, weight, meetings, any kind of issue. You will find a beautiful treatment here. So let's take a cleansing breath. If everybody wants to just anchor themselves, you know that there is only one presence and one power. So when I speak this I, I'm speaking it for everyone present, because we are one with the one mind. So take these words of truth into your consciousness. Joy. I live joyously. Your joy. No man, no woman, no person, place, or thing. Take it from you. Today, I am living enthusiastically. joyously. I am filled with life. I am flowing with life. God at the very center of my being is living through me. I greet this day with confidence and a feeling of zest as I let joy express from within. All that the Father hath is mine. All of the intelligence and wisdom, all of the abundance of life is mine to express in my living. This I am doing right now. Eagerly and confidently, I let life live through me. Thoughts of gloom and despair fade away, for they are not of God and have no power over me. Eagerly, I step out into this day, knowing that divine inspiration leads the way and right ideas are mine to use. God is expressing through me as glorious right action in all of my affairs. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. Today's mine. I live joyously, enthusiastically, spontaneously. This attitude gives power to all that I do. I rejoice. And so it is.
So it is. So it is.
Amen. God is fullness of joy. Can we say that together?
God is fullness of joy.
Again.
God is fullness of joy.
Again.
God is fullness of joy.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.